Gypsy Rose is speaking out about her freedom since being released from prison for almost a decade. She's been all over the press over this last week, and the media and everyone on social media really wants the inside scoop of Gypsy Rose's life in prison, as well as how she feels now after being released after all these years.
It does hurt my feelings a little bit whenever people do call me a danger, because I want to make clear, I was a part of the crime, but I didn't commit the act. So I paid my dues. I did my time for my part of things. Right. Now let me live my life and just grow as a person.
Gypsy has gained millions of followers just days since her release from prison, and the press is really digging in on her life in prison, as well as her current thoughts on her mother and how she views the world now since being in prison for 8 years. For those who don't know, the case of Gypsy Rose has been quite a popular one, and it's something we've never really seen before, which could also explain why she's been in the social media limelight after all these years. For those who don't know, back in around 2015, Gypsy Rose pled guilty to second-degree murder after conspiring with her then-boyfriend, Nick, to unalive her own mother. Gypsy was a victim of her mother's psychological disorder known as Munchausen syndrome by proxy, in which the parent seeks sympathy through the exaggerated or made-up illness of their children. In reality, Gypsy was never actually sick, and she was made to go through all these different procedures, surgeries, and even put in a wheelchair by the force of her mother. Well, now that Gypsy is finally free after serving her time, she's coming out to the press to speak on multiple different avenues of her life and how she feels about everything now. First, Gypsy talked about how she's adjusting to this whole social media limelight. As I mentioned, Gypsy is now at over 6 million followers in just a couple of days, and the attention is really shining on her, not only on social media, but also in the real world.
Morning, Ryan. How are you? Ryan, come over. Can we get a quick selfie? Gypsy! This way! Gypsy, can we get a quick selfie? Are you and Ryan gonna have a second wedding?
She says that ultimately she is trying to take in all of this fame and attention one day at a time, but ultimately her goal is to make use of her platform by advocating for those similar in her situation or what she had went through.
I'm adjusting to all of this attention. You know, I'm typically a shy kind of person in a social setting, so I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. But with the massive amount of platform that I have, you know, the 6 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, I really want to get into advocacy work. I feel like with that big of a platform, with my story, I think it resonates with people because there's so many layers to my story. And I feel like, you know, people feel if it could happen to her, it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody, and what to look for exactly.
But are you thinking of advocacy as an occupation for yourself, a job?
You know, I think someday I might want to get a 9-to-5, but you know, right now I think I'm just a little too busy for all of that. I have a message, and putting it out there is super important to me, because the whole reason that I am doing all of this, documentaries and everything else, is because I know that I have a big platform now, and let's see what I can do with it. Yeah. I'm going to try to create some change and, you know, be a voice for the voiceless.
She talked about how much she's evolved from the woman she was 10 years ago to now, and how much she's matured and gained wisdom from life through her experience.
Tell me how Gypsy, sitting here, is different from that Gypsy Rose we met all those years ago.
I'm very different. The two are complete polar opposites. I've had 8.5 years to mature and grow and just gain life experience.
Can you gain life experience
in
prison?
You can, because the way I see it is, just because I didn't have those experiences in the free world doesn't mean that I didn't have experiences in prison. Trial and error for things, and I did that in prison. And I think that I came out pretty much the woman that I always dreamed of being.
She also did an interview with her husband, Ryan, and they talked a bit about their love life. Gypsy confesses that she was asked out by over 250 men who were interested in her while she was in prison, which was kind of shocking to a lot of people. Gypsy also confessed her addiction to painkillers, and the interviewer decided to ask her if she was high during the act of unaliving her mom. And Gypsy did admit that, but she says that she doesn't use that as an excuse of what she did to her mother at all.
You say that you were addicted to painkillers. How serious was this addiction?
You know, this is really hard to talk about because it took me down a really dark path. But I felt like it was my only way to cope for a time.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Yes, I was.
And do you blame that for your decision?
No. I don't blame drugs. I don't blame anything. I don't make excuses.
She also sent her well wishes to her ex-boyfriend at the time, Nick, who is currently facing life in prison for his part in the unaliving of Gypsy's mom. Gypsy was asked about how she feels about Nick's sentencing, and Gypsy gave some of her thoughts on that.
Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Yes, I was.
And do you blame that for your decision?
No. I don't blame drugs. I don't blame anything. I don't make excuses.
Even though you participated?
Of course I feel conflicted. Fame is not what I'm looking for. I always said I think I'm infamous, and then I came out famous.
Are you enjoying the attention?
Honestly, I'm a very shy person. I don't think that I'm doing anything that anybody else wouldn't do.
I also want to mention that there was this clip that was going viral from an interview with The View that Gypsy did with them. Basically, the reason this clip was going viral was because the co-hosts at the table seemed to be very concerned with one of the interviewers, Joy, when she told Gypsy Rose that she had no choice really when it came to how she escaped her childhood abuse, talking about unaliving her mother. And as a result, everyone at the table was just kind of laughing, being like, Joy, unaliving is wrong. Because it seemed like the interviewer was trying to justify unaliving.
In my words, that you are not alone in this, situation. There are other ways out. I did it the wrong way.
No. Don't say that.
I did.
You had no
I
choice,
did
really.
something wrong, and I paid my dues for it.
Oh, you mean that part?
Yes, the part of it,
Oh, yeah.
that part of it. Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
Yeah, no. So I did something.
Murder is wrong,
Yes,
Joy.
murder's wrong.
I do want to ask you.
Anyways, guys, this is the update on Gypsy Rose and the recent interviews she's been doing with multiple media outlets and news stations. And she's also come out with a documentary. So there's a lot going on in her plate right now as she is adjusting to the real world now, and she has all the media trying to get her attention. She's built such a massive fan base already, so it seems like there's a lot she has to adjust to, and as she says, she is trying to take it all in one day at a time. But all around, people are just happy that Gypsy finally is able to express her freedom now and finally just be able to live in the real world and experience all the joys that come with life, as they feel like her childhood was just stripped away from her. So there's a lot of celebration going on for her, but I definitely want to know what you guys think about what she had to say in this interview, her thoughts. Definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love you guys so much, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.